Thank you for joining us for this episode of That Solo Life, the podcast for PR pros and marketers who work for themselves. People like me, Michelle Kane with Voice Matters, and my ever steady co-host, Karen Swim with Solo PR Pro. How are you, Karen?
I am doing fantastic, Michelle. Happy August. How are
Happy
you?
August. I'm doing well. We made it through. We're midway through August. The Olympics just wrapped up. By the time this hits everyone's inboxes and social sites. So it's a kind of an interesting time, right? Lots of information going around as usual. But what we thought we would talk about today, just because it just seems to be hitting. I don't know. I doubt that it's hitting more frequently, but it just seems more pronounced, right? How news outlets, everyone's trying to be edgy, grab the attention. I won't use the word clickbait, but, trying to use these headlines that really betray the actual information. And as PR pros, does it do us or our profession well to join, in being that provocative? Does it pay to be provocative? And to what
I
end?
I agree. Again, media outlets have always they go for the attention-getting headline,
Right, right,
which is fine. You do need to grab people's attention. We as PR pros, we do that. We strive for that in our writing as well. We want to grab people's attention and bring them in. Email subject lines. This is what we do. However, can you be so edgy that you blur the lines of accuracy
right.
or that you inspire people to consume the information and make it inaccurate? So are you pushing it so far that people can infer something that's not true from what you're feeding them?
Right, right. I mean, case in point, and I'll say before I get into that, just the notion that how many of us just scan the headlines because we're all pressed for time. We scan it, we go, oh, wow, okay. And we take that as our news when really the crux of it might be in the fourth or fifth paragraph. So, case in point, the issue with the Olympics and the boxer from Algiers or Algeria. I'm not going to say anything correctly. I'm just going to say I'm guessing on the country. But, whether or not this woman was a man, and it just caught fire. And next thing you know, it's like we're talking about a human life here who hails from
Yeah.
somewhere where that kind of thing is not just a brush off topic, and it could have serious impact.
It was very unfortunate, the
Yeah.
narrative that sprung up around
Mhm.
edgy headlines,
Yeah.
because, as you noted, people often don't have time or they just don't read. Let's
Right.
be honest about
Yeah.
it. The American public is not reading, they're skimming. And they took that headline and they ran with it
Mhm.
and went after this woman, went after the International Olympic Committee. They were on fire and they made it all about transgender, and it
Yeah.
exploded. When in reality, this woman is not transgender, she's intersex.
Mhm.
And even when I saw discussions on my community pages and someone raised the question about, should there be a category for intersex athletes so that they have the opportunity to compete as well? And they were asking it as a question,
Mhm.
not an attack. And
Mhm.
people went completely bananas. And other people were like, people don't even know what intersexed means.
Right.
They are just seeing transgender and they're seeing this
Yeah.
from the American political lens only.
Yes.
And it got really ugly. And
Yeah.
and so you have to think, as communicators, we know that we have an ethical responsibility, right? We can go and it's always a good idea to review that PRSA code of ethics. We have an ethical responsibility not only to our clients, because our publics are not just our clients, to our public, to our audiences, to present information that is accurate
Yeah.
and that's fair. And in this case, I would say to those journalists who really pushed the envelope, was this ethical? Because you really incited a narrative and a lot of hatred towards this human being who didn't deserve that.
Completely, completely. And, if anything, what a wonderful opportunity to learn something, right? To realize, I confess I did not read their entire post, but someone of science who knows this topic well said, I'm going to chime in here. Here's how your chromosomes work, and here's what happens. And I thought, wow, that's kind of fascinating. And rather than getting excited about it, you have people digging in their heels of just like, no. And really, that really comes down to the problem that we have currently in our country. And while if you saw the the rioting in the UK this weekend, it's not just us, but we
It's not
just
just us.
dig in our
Well,
heels about our ideology and what
mhm.
makes us, I guess, unafraid about the world around us. When it's like, really, you're fine. Your cornflakes are still going in your bowl.
I love that. This I love that. You're 100% right. I I I don't like this trend though. I mean,
Mm-mm.
I love a
Yeah,
good snazzy, sizzling headline. I do. I love it. We play around with them a lot here on this podcast as
yeah,
well, but I hope that we never write or are responsible for anything that causes people to be misinformed,
right.
to spread mis, mal, or disinformation in any way. If we have ever done that, call us out on it so that we can correct it because we're human beings too. And so I'm all for giving grace for something that came from the right intentions and maybe you missed it because we're
Right.
human and we make errors. But I'm not okay with this being something that the business side of news is pushing for because this is
Yes.
not the journalist. Let's be clear about that. And when I say
Correct.
journalist, I really mean journalist. I'm not
Yeah.
speaking to every content writer. I'm talking to journalists. We know, we see you, and we understand that you do have ethical standards, that you really enjoy reporting and you enjoy reporting the facts and digging into things and even presenting opinions but stating that they are opinions. I enjoy reading those pieces from journalists that lend, like, here's what I see, or
Yeah.
hey, this is me. I grew up this way, or I'm from this place, and coloring it with some of their, but it's their opinion, it's their experience. So we know that it's not them, it's money. And I'm starting to see how many ways money ruin things.
Yeah. How true is that? I mean, I point back to way back in the 90s when hard copy was out, right? And that was, at least as far as I could see, the beginning of the infotainment of, really kind of co-opting, compromising hard
Yes.
news, which I know it's boring, and just making it a little more dazzling, salacious. It's just like, the way it's evolved, it almost feels dirty in a way because you're like, really? You're going there now? Come on, you're better than that. Try and be better. Now, I will say to the credit, and again, at the risk of being inaccurate, I think it was the Boston Globe was among the papers issuing an actual absolute apology to the Olympic boxer, which was fantastic. Props to the Globe.
Yeah.
But it's been a slow, slow slide.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate, but I'm grateful that at least we are aware of it and we can play a part in doing something about it
But
in the things that we do. Yeah.
I worry about the generation growing up in this
Yeah.
era. I worry about those that are consider TikTok a source of news,
Yeah.
which when I say news, I really mean facts. I mean accurate information because
Right.
everyone with a phone and a microphone is not necessarily accurate. And so I am inspired by people. I learn things from people that, inspire me to go dig deeper. However, I wonder if our younger generation is even doing that. I mean, it's fine to listen to people, it's fine to read things, but please use your own mind to discern, to dig deeper, to look for facts, to research, to verify. And I think that I love that you use the word compromise because you are 100% right. And I think that because we've entered, we're firmly in that camp of compromising the truth for entertainment, for being provocative, for being edgy. It's why people don't trust institutions. Why would I don't either. And I hate saying that as a PR pro,
Yeah.
that there was a time that there were outlets that I read and I just believed that the information that they shared was true. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I didn't read other things and compare and contrast, but I at least started with a baseline of trust. And now I start from a baseline of, is
Right.
that really what happened?
Right. I mean, it used to be just the tabloids, and I'm not talking National Enquirer, but usually,
Yes.
the New York Post,
Yes.
those kind of
Yes.
tabloid journalism, right? It used to be just those, but now it's you're right, it's the stalwarts of our journalism that you would say, "Oh, well, let me see what this outlet says, and then I'll know." But
Yeah.
yeah, it's happened there, and it's so true. I mean, it is. It's what is it? The businessification of news. I
Yeah.
mean, it's all about bottom line and clicks and well, truth. Figure it out. And I agree. The younger generations, I don't know because they don't have that baseline.
And
Right?
those are our future journalists, by the
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
and media company owners, because
yeah.
some of these owners eventually do get so old that or they die and they have to, sell the company. But they are our future. And I wonder what that looks like in the future. What is going to pass for news? Have we completely lost that? Are we done? Should we just give up the ghost and admit that era is long gone? And how sad that we think of
Mhm.
truth as boring.
Oh, right. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope we're wrong.
I
I
hope we're
hope
wrong too.
pendulums do tend to sway or swing. So hopefully it will sway back in a better direction. I mean, I remember at the height of the Daily Show, and I think Jon Stewart probably still says it. It's like, "Oh gosh, don't get your news from us." Because people were. I mean, sure, they were showing, actual news clips, but I understood what he meant. But I think truth should be paramount. And, I get it. I'm not saying as far as our intelligence operations, of course, we can't know everything that goes on. Let's get
Right.
real. But as far as public information, if it's incorrect, and of course, with social media and the internet, it catches fire so quickly. The brush fire just goes whoosh. Next thing you know, it's, the game of telephone is you've got the wrong answer so quickly now. We're seeing it in some of the Veep stakes. And by now we'll
Yeah.
know who that is. But, living in Pennsylvania, our governor's under consideration. I'm seeing chatter online of, oh, well, he said this and he did this. And I look at the bios and I'm like, okay, well, you don't even live here. Like, you're not living this. You don't know. You haven't vetted them as someone you voted for. And it's like, nah, it's almost like I was there when it happened. No, 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 no. You don't understand. Like, no, I do because I was there.
Yeah. But and in some ways, doesn't that feel like what must be so frustrating and has been for, centuries for police officers who can
Yeah.
go to the scene of a crime and interview witnesses and every witness sees it differently?
Oh, how true. Yeah.
But that's like our whole life now. Like
Yeah.
everyone has a different version of the truth. And so,
Yeah.
when you think about witnesses who were there, who witnessed it with their own eyes, were present, and could truly say, I know what happened,
Yeah.
everybody, they don't talk about the suspects in the same way. Sometimes they have wildly different versions of
Right.
who was at fault at something. And so I don't know what happens to our brains. I can't explain it elegantly. I do
Right.
understand how perception and how biases can come into
Biases.
play
Yeah.
with influencing the way that
Yeah.
we see things, but
Yeah.
that's a good topic, solo PR pros, to explore a little deeper and make sure that you are not allowing your own inherent biases to color
Mm,
your communications on behalf of your clients and,
yeah.
in your own marketing and branding.
That's so true. Yeah. That's another great topic for another day, right?
Yes.
Check in with yourself. Just say, am I informing this in any particular kind of way that perhaps I shouldn't be? Or that doesn't serve the work in the way that it should, that doesn't keep it honest and forthright. No, I agree. Well, that's going to be a fun topic to dip into one day, but we also want to hear from you. What questions do you have? What would you like to see us cover? Because there's a big wide world out there, and we want to know what's happening in your world of PR and marketing. So hit us up at soloprpro.com. If you receive value from this podcast, please share it around, tell your friends. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter at soloprpro.com because Karen's always sending out great nuggets of information. And until next time, thanks for listening to That Solo Life.